Another day in the 54th Biel International Chess Festival is over. Yesterday the players were playing the 4th round of the classical tournament, which is a part of the Grandmaster Triathlon. Quite surprisingly, comparing to the previous rounds, all 4 games were pretty much finished in the first time control, and 2 of them were decisive. Let's check what happened in all of them. So we'll start with a game of Noel Studer against Sarin Nihal. So after d4, d5, c4, c5, here the young Indian surprised the Swiss Grandmaster with a very rare Austrian defense. Now after c takes, queen d5, knight f3, c takes on d4, knight c3. This is a known theory. White uses the opportunity to develop the queenside knight with a tempo. Queen a5, knight e4, knight f6, knight b3, queen goes away, and here bishop g5 was played by Studer, a move which was not known by Nihal. After bishop g5, knight c6, e4, e6 was played, inviting white to play bishop takes on f6 and then get the 2 bishop advantage. Instead, Studer played bishop e2, but after bishop b4, complied and took on f6. After g takes, short castle, a6, queen d2. Now white already was threatened with some queen h6 ideas. Black decided cannot be a big deal, castle short, but after queen h6, queen e7, f4, Studer in the post-game interview felt that he was pretty much probably close to winning, mainly because of the rook f3, rook h3 threat if black is forced to position the rook on g7 and not in time to play rook g6. Now here after king h8, rook f3, rook g8, rook h3, rook g7 was played, rook d1, another rook joins the attack, and after bishop d7, rook d3, now white has a lot of threats. Now the biggest threat is rook h4, rook h3, deliver a mate. Or the second threat is rook g3, also with the same idea to attack the rook, or maybe with rook g3, rook g4, rook h4, still try to get to the mate. Now bishop c3 was played by the young Indian, f5 tried to open the position, e5 correctly closed, rook g8, king f1 was played, although in the post-game interview Studer suspected that maybe bishop f3 could have been played as well. After king f1, knight b8, knight e4. Here, Sarin said he wasn't sure about what is the difference between bishop b5, bishop c6, so his idea was try to get the knight to f8 as quickly as possible, not to miss not only any queen h7 mate ideas, but also queen f6. Instead, he played bishop c6, after knight takes on c6, b takes on c6, and here white had a golden chance to seize huge advantage. Now here Studer should have played queen f6. The point is that after queen takes on f6, I mean, if black doesn't take it, there is a mate threat. So queen f6, e takes on f6, rook takes on g2. Both players apparently missed a computer-like combination bishop h5, not being afraid of the checks, and white actually is winning because bishop takes on f7 is simply impossible to parry. So instead, here Studer continued his plan to play rook h4, and this gave black now enough time to play knight e7, rook h3, and f6, already trying to take over the game because the queen on e7 is just in time defending the pawn on h7. Now instead here, white played bishop c4, and after rook e8, forced a draw. Bishop takes on e6, queen e6, a very cute looking queen sacrifice, forcing a perpetual check. King g8, rook h8, king g7, and just deliver a perpetual check. The black king cannot simply make to e7 because he's given a lot of checks. Really exciting game, maybe slightly a missed chance for Studer, but still a narrow escape for the young Indian player. The second game was played between Vincent Kiemer against Alain Peixoto. It started improvising right away at the move 2, when the Argentine Grandmaster played the slightly unexpected bishop b4. Now seeking some opportunities to take on c3 and try to kick his young opponent out of the very strong preparation. Now, Winston played queen b3, a5, a3, and took on c3 with the queen, getting the so-called bishop advantage, which was one of the big topics of the round 4. After knight f6, b4, white's idea was to position the bishop on the long diagonal and try to cause black some problems. After bishop b7, knight f3, the players continue finished normal development. After knight c6, now black was pressing white to do something with the pawn on b4. After the trade, d3, knight e7, rook b1, knight g6, queen d2, bishop c6. Knight e1 was slightly an odd move, but with the idea to play bishop f3 to trade the bishops. Now this is why black played e5. After bishop f3, queen d7, bishop c3, and e4, seeking some active counter chances himself. Now bishop d1 was played by the German star with the threat to play bishop takes on f6, ruining black's pawn structure. And now after queen e6, rook b6, the position inevitably reached the following position, where white created a very annoying pin in black's position. After rook c8, d takes on e4, knight e4, queen b2, black started to experience serious issues how to properly deal with this pin. So he played queen d7, and now it was a time for another pin. The young German took on c6 with a rook and played a lot of annoying moves for black because black has no time to deal with this pin. f6, queen c2, knight e6, queen d3, still not enough time for black to deal with this threat. So here he played rook c8, queen d5, king f8, rook d1, and here the Argentine grandmaster probably made a big positional mistake. He played king e7. Now a better choice here was to play queen b7, get rid of the pin once for all, and after bishop c6, rook takes on c6, somehow try to hold this, although quite obviously white is ahead after an expansion at the king side. However, here after rook d1 and king e7, now Kimmer set a very cunning trap by playing h3, and the Argentine grandmaster fell right into it. He played queen b7, only not to miss knight g5, a very nice idea. Now, if black takes on g5, there's going to be queen e5, rook d6 is incoming, and the problem that after king d7, this pin is still alive. So after rook d6, black can just resign. So that's why after knight g5, queen d7 had to be played. But now black has essentially lost 2 tempos. So after knight e4, more pins are created. So queen c7, bishop c6, now the knight on d6 is under attack. So black had no choice but to play knight e4, queen e4, queen c6. And after queen h7, white got the winning position, being up a pawn and having a very strong attack against the weakened black king. Black didn't hold for long. So as soon as the white rook penetrated the back rank, black was done. And after f4, king f6, queen e7 would have been a mate on the board. Thus Alain Pichot had to resign. Spectacular win by Winston Kimmer. Now, in the third game of yesterday's round, Gata Kamsky was playing against Boris Gelfand, 2 true chess legends. So Gata played the London system, quite characteristic to his positional approach to chess. But here, after bishop e5, queen b6, queen a4, knight e7, here Gata made an amazing idea. He played e4. And apparently black cannot play d takes on e4, because after knight c4, the black queen has to go to b8, and after knight e5, his position tactically collapses. So instead, after e4, Gelfand had to take with the bishop, and now after knight e4, d takes on e4, knight e5. Now black needs to play very carefully to keep the position together. So he played knight e5, d takes on e5, and long castle. Now black temporarily is up a pawn, but white has the 2 bishops and some space advantage, while the pawn on e4 is not really going anywhere. After short castle, 97, rook e1, a6. The position inevitably simplified to what appeared to be a slightly better position for the American Grandmaster. However, the Israeli legend was very accurate, slowly but carefully improved his position, managed to improve all of his pieces, and after both rooks were gone from the board, Americans' chance to actually score something more in this game than a draw were really minimal. So a lot of pieces were traded, then pawns were to follow, and inevitably the position led to a draw. So Gata Kamsky still leads the tournament after having a draw today, and for Boris Gelfand, it's just a good result with the black color. Now finally, the fourth game, probably the craziest game of the day, was between Maxime Lagarde against Kirill Alexeyenko. So after c4, e5, knight c3, bishop b4, here the Frenchman played queen c2, trying to improvise right after the opening, and after knight f6, knight f3, Alexeyenko decided to give up the bishop on c3, and after d6, essentially confirming that today's topic was the two bishop advantage pretty much in every single game of what was played. After d4, obviously White was seeking ways to open the position and Black trying to close it. h6, stopping bishop g5 ideas. And now after b3, e3, Black continued to build a brick wall. Knight e2, rook e8, knight f4, bishop e6, all of this was played. Now here, the Frenchman was really trying to provoke his opponent into doing something active. He played knight e6, bishop e2, h4, bishop d2, and castle long, pretty much inviting Black to start an offensive at the queenside. And Alexeyenko did. He played b6, after c5, started to open the position at the queenside, but now the position got really sharp. A lot more pieces were traded. The White King was walking in the middle of the board like nothing is happening there. And at some point, Lagarde started to take over until they reached a mutual time trouble. He sacrificed the pawn on f2 and got a very nice position with two strong bishops and a strong passed pawns, where the extra pawn for Black doesn't really matter. After rook a8, rook b6, knight e3, queen b3. Here, the game quite unexpectedly finished rather quickly. Now, White already was enjoying a great position after snatching back the pawn on h5, knight b4, king b1, and here the drama unfolded. After bishop g4, White already was enjoying an excellent position by pinning the queen with the knight, and after g6, as Maxime mentioned in the interview, he could play h5, g takes, and bishop h3, posing Black a lot of questions. Now here in time trouble at 40th move, Alexeyenko suddenly believed in knight takes on d4. Now the idea is that after e takes, queen takes on g4 works, but after bishop takes on d7, knight takes on b3 works. However, what had Kirill missed here is queen takes on b4 intermezzo move, and inevitably Black loses a piece, thus forced his resignation. Now, that was really quite unexpected from Alexeyenko, but in time trouble everybody can make mistakes, and these are the standings after the fourth round in the classical tournament. Gata Kamsky still leads the tournament with 19.5 points. Now Maxime Lagarde, after today's win over Alexeyenko, has overtook him in the overall rankings, is at second place with 16 points. Alexeyenko is at third place, 15 points, and Sorin Nikhal is very close with 14.5 points. So the action is going to continue tomorrow. Already with the Blitz event, the players are going to play a double round robin Blitz tournament with the time control 3+2. Every single point will be awarded with just 1 point, unlike in a classical tournament where the victory is valued at 4 points. And it still counts together as a part of the Grandmaster Triathlon. See you at the boards and follow the live streams.